Daria here. Welcome back to the channel, and I'm super happy to see you here again. If it's your first time here, this is the place, this is the channel where we talk about languages, self-development, motivation, school. Also, soon it's going to be about universities and university applications, as it's going to be my very last year of school. This year, starting from October, I will be applying to universities, which is quite an exciting news, let's say. But overall, today we will be diving into something quite mysterious, a little magical, and honestly a total game changer to your whole social life. The secret to becoming the most interesting person in the room. Now, I know what you're thinking. Daria, but people are either interesting or they're not. It's something that you get when you're just born. But the truth is that being interesting is not a gift. Being interesting is in fact a skill. Yeah, some people are born, in fact, with this skill being already quite much acquired. But normally they spend hours and even years to master it. And guess what? The good news, it's one you can master today, and anybody can. Before we will begin, I would advise you to go and follow on my beautiful Instagram that you might find aesthetic and interesting. I would say that I post on daily basis quite many things that you might find challenging, exciting, and so on, especially if you are super interested in my just daily life, which is somewhere outside of YouTube platform, because if you were already following it, you would know that today when you're watching this exact video, I'm already not even in Ukraine. I am in Moldova passing my IELTS exam, my IELTS academic exam. And now I think that we are ready to begin, and let's go. So first thing first, the mindset. As you know, if you watched at least one of my videos, you definitely know that I love talking about mindset. And mindset is in fact the thing that you have to get, to gain, to, shape every single year, every single day of your life, in order to become an interesting person, a smart person, a person with incredible potential. And it is going to be the same here. If you want to be interesting, you have to genuinely care about being curious. So what does it even mean to genuinely care about being curious? Interesting people are actually interesting and never boring, simply because they never stop exploring, learning, asking questions as well. They are not thinking about themselves only, but instead they're thinking about the world and the people around them. It obviously doesn't mean that you have to be absolutely careless about yourself, but instead, on the contrast, you have to care not only about yourself, but about the world around you. What does that mean? You have to make researches and get to know many topics. It could be politics if you're, let's say, old enough. I'm not saying that when you're 10 or 11 you cannot learn something about politics, but it's probably going to be super boring for you. So you have to find something that you find interesting for you. So for example, for me, as a person who is completely not a scientific one, I hate sciences, biology, chemistry, physics. When I just hear about all that, my mind goes blank. So instead, I had to find some other topics that could make me interesting, that could be about the world and still make me interesting for others. I have a super fresh example. So about a week ago, I think I decided that I'm so interested about blood types. I know it's super weird, but let's say, because I personally have blood type AB negative, AB minus, and basically it's like the rarest in the world possible blood type, which is a big problem for me. So I would have to search for donors and this and that. So I decided to just read something about them. Where is the biggest number of people with that blood type? Which is the typical blood type in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in America, North America, South America? And I found myself being super interested in that. Like, I would never ever consider myself a person who would be interested in biology. When my family and I went to visit our family friends, we studied a topic about like health and this and that, and basically I could introduce them to all of my knowledge about blood and blood types and how popular it is in every single area of the world. In fact, adults were interested to listen to me. They were interested to ask me questions. Being interesting is not about being funny and loud all the time. It's about being authentic, confident, and engaged. People feel when you are engaged in something. They feel it somehow with their inner feelings, but when you are just faking it, people will see it as well. When you are engaged in the topic that you're talking about, people will feel it, people will see it, they will get engaged with you as well. Person everybody remembers on parties isn't necessarily the one with the funniest jokes. I'm not saying that it's not possible. Obviously, people with the funniest jokes are remembered, but they are never considered to be interesting people. They are considered to be funny, to be clowns of a company, but never really interesting people to share many stories. Now, using the example about blood that I gave you in the previous part, we will try to change it a little bit. How can we change that situation? What is not perfect about stating many facts? So basically, the main problem of what I told you before is stories. Humans are hand-wired to remember stories and not only facts. Just people around you won't be interested if you will tell them something about blood, maths, languages, or something else. They would. But storytelling is very, and I mean very important skill. I heard many times from my personal friends, from people somewhere under my videos, stating that, well, storytelling is a skill that you have to acquire when you learn some foreign language. And in fact, it's wrong. You have to learn how to storytell no matter what language you speak. If you speak one language, if you speak 10 languages, if you speak 20 languages, or if you speak just 2 languages, it doesn't matter. You have to learn how to storytell. It doesn't matter if that's going to be your story or something you discovered along your adventures, let's say. But the secret twist. Don't just tell any story. Tell stories that reveal something about you. Your perspectives, your curiosity, your failures, or maybe your passions. So let's imagine that you would like to just state a fact that you love traveling. You love adventures, let's say. So instead of saying, I love traveling, say, well, I remember how once I missed my train in Italy, and after that, I just got lost in a tiny village. And guess what? I ended up having dinner with people who didn't speak a word in English, but somehow we loved until midnight. And that's when I realized that the best moments happen when you embrace the unexpected. So I hope that now you see the difference. That's how you make people lean in. You could come up with any particular story. It doesn't mean that it has to be only this exact story about how you got lost somewhere in the middle of Italy. Absolutely not. There are so many things that you could come up with, and there are so many stories that you could somehow describe in a super detailed and interesting way so that people would lean on it just because the story is interesting, just because it's super cool to just listen to it. So let's talk about curiosity. So important thing is that there is a huge difference between being actually curious and being just nosy. Interesting people ask questions that make others feel, I would say, heard instead of making them feel interrogated. They remember details, follow up, and make connections between those things that people would never even realize were connected. So giving you a little example, when someone says something super small, like, I love cooking, do not just nod. Instead, try to ask something super unexpected, something a little weird, something out of your mind. What's the weirdest dish you've once made? Or if you could cook for anyone in history, who would it be? Those are not normal and typical questions that someone would ask. They will remember that you were the person with who they always had super interesting conversations. Sometimes they were super weird, but they made them feel like they were thinking about something that they never ever could come up with before by themselves. And that's important. You have to learn how to be authentic. Make conversations feel adventurous instead of making them feel like interviews. Another super important secret would be that interesting people have hobbies, passion, they have many skills that excite them. And because they are excited, they make other people around them excited as well. You really have to learn how to not share only your problems with everybody around you. Problems are part of everybody's life, of my life, of your life, of my mom's life, of your mom's life, and of everybody's life. Really, problems are there no matter what. But you have to learn how to tell about your story in a way that would make you interesting as a person. So for example, you got lost in Italy and you're telling it to somebody with the whole story. Like you met that grandpa who didn't speak any English. You had to use your basic Italian vocabulary to explain something, whatever. It could be anything. Tell about your problems in a way that would make you interesting as a person and not just complain about them all the time. Another thing is that you shouldn't just be collecting hobbies because they feel cool. Actually dive in. You shouldn't be reading books just because it feels cool, and there are so many girls out there on TikTok or on YouTube talking about books or whatever. Or you shouldn't be learning a language, let's say a Chinese, Japanese, I don't know, Korean, Arabic, some cool languages like that, just simply to show off. You should find those hobbies that actually interest you, those in which you could actually dive in and be an expert. It could be anything. There are so many things out there, and there are so many interesting hobbies that you can try and be deep in. Whether it's painting, making music, creative writing, learning languages, coding, or even just reading weird books. Do everything fully and not partially. Think of yourself as a walking treasure chest. The more you invest in your passions, the more stories, insights, and experiences you can bring to the table. And trust me, curiosity is contagious. People want to be around someone who radiates enthusiasm. The point where most people mess up one way or another is when they decide for some particular reason that they have to tell everything about themselves at once. Obviously, all of us humans cannot collect stories all the time, and we cannot have hundreds and thousands of stories to tell. So the right and best technique, let's say, is going to be to reveal stories one by one. Interesting people know how to leave a little mystery. You don't need to reveal all your stories instantly, immediately. Let people discover you gradually. Give just enough to intrigue you and then save the best parts for later. So it's like basically being a book that people can't put down. Finally, everything I just said falls flat without one critical ingredient. Can you guess? 1, 2, 3. That's right, it's confidence. No matter how many interesting stories, hundreds and thousands you have, how many cool hobbies, or how interesting as a person you are, it all doesn't matter when you're not confident, when you lack that self-confidence. Not arrogance, not fake bravado, but real confidence. That doesn't mean you have to be loud or dominating. It means that you are comfortable in your own skin and you are okay with being yourself and willing to show your quirks. Confidence is magnetic. People gravitate towards those who own their energy, who aren't afraid of expressing their thoughts or passions, and who make space for others without shrinking themselves. So here is the bottom line. Becoming the most interesting person in the room isn't about tricks or pretending to be someone else who you really are not. It's about curiosity, storytelling skills, passions, authentic connections, and of course, confidence. All of this together, this little toolbox will in fact make you super interesting as a person. But you have to understand that you will become interesting for others only when you yourself will be interested in your own life. Only at that moment it's going to tweak, it's going to change everything, and you will become interesting for others as well. Remember, being interesting isn't a destination, it's a way of living. And what's the best part? Anyone can do it. including you. So go out there, be curious, be brave, and be unforgettable.